It is max bet time, and what a weekend we have in store. Group 1 racing across the country, and also what I've been talking about for 9 months, the NRL Grand Final with my mighty Broncos in. I am pumped for this weekend. Absolutely pumped. I cannot wait. What about Pride of Jenny last weekend as well? Getting the cash, what a thrill. But let's move on. Let's not talk about what happened last weekend. Let's try and find another winner for this weekend. And the race that I really want to focus on is the Metrop. That's my race of the Group 1s, which I thought a lot of the Group 1s were hard. I'm going to, after we go through the Metrop, I'm going to go and have a look at some ratings, which I find extremely interesting for the Epsom, with the champ, the superstar on the rise in the Epsom, and also Autumn Glow, obviously, and also Pericles. I'm going to go through this market later. Pier, there's a few that I think are a little bit better value, so I'm going to talk about that afterwards. It pains me to say because I want to really bet up on Autumn Glow, but I've got to go off my numbers and be a good boy and do what my numbers and my data tell me. So let's talk Metrop because I really like this race. Why do I like this race? Two main reasons why I like this race. The first being the pace of the race. I think it's 2,400. There's good early tempo in this race. So I'm looking for horses that are going to settle midfield or a bit off the pace or getting back, coming off tempos that were unsuitable last start, and also the weights. So if we go and let's just go and have a look at the market first and talk about the weights. I'm just checking it's plugged in because I often record without the sound being plugged in. Weights, Vauban, 58.5, Arapaho, 58. More Felons, 55, Changing the Guard, 54.5. And then we get down to here. Look at all these horses with 50 kilos. Virtually, from 9 through to 19, have all got 50 kilos. So Vauban's giving and Arapaho are giving these horses 8 kilos over 2,400. Yes, they do have a class edge, Vauban and Arapaho. But I think it's too much, 8 kilos to be giving these other horses. So let's just talk about the market. Vauban appears to be on the drift, 9 out to about 13. Ladbrokes leading the way. Arapaho, Boombet leading the way, pretty solid around 13, but I think will drift. Changing of the Guard, pretty solid at the moment around that $9.50, $10 mark. Birdman, tab bet as much as $7 into 6. Ladbrokes around the same, $6.50 into 6. Solar Spain's been pretty well backed. Tab put up $6, got backed into 5. So been very solid. My big Solar Spain, 6 into 5. I've done nothing on the race yet. Etna Rossa solid around that $11 mark. Royal Supremacy solid around that $11 mark. The horse that's been the best backed is number 17, Travolta. Tab put up $17 and has been crunched into 9, which I think is way too short. There's been an overreaction there. So as you can see, Ladbrokes as well put up 17 into 15 an hour later, then continue to firm 14, 13, 11. Then someone's come in again at 7 o'clock last night and taken the 11 and the $10 for Travolta. Let's go through the form and have a look why I like some horses and why I don't like some horses. So let's get back over to the King Zone. As you can see there, these are my top 4 picks, as in these are the 4 biggest overlays, I think. So if we go down to race analysis, you'll see the bullet price value, 9, 15 and 16 as well, which matches up. Very fast predicted early tempo here, which I think will be against some horses, which I'll go through. Birdman gets that tricky barrier. So whilst that race pressure does suit Birdman, I think it's going to have to take a very good ride from Kieran McAvoy. And I think Birdman's going to go back further than the Bird would like to. And he's going to need extremely good acceleration, which he can do with that weight. I'm not saying he can't win. I just think he's under the odds. Birdman ticks a lot of boxes, as in race strength, as in cam, as in race pressure, as in CSW, sorry. So, but what is going to happen with Birdman, I think, is he's going to get further back. So let's just go and have a look at him because he's a really interesting horse as we flick through there, the class speed weight ratings. So you can see Birdman's up there 100, but they're all pretty even. There's not Vauban on 95, Arapaho 90. There's nothing. They're all pretty even. There's no big gaps there. They're all sort of um, good enough on their day. So a lot of the result for this race, I think, is going to come down to race shape. And as you can see here, this is a class, speed, weight rating. And that's why Vauban, who probably has the highest actual time rating, isn't coming up that high in the class speed weight, and that is because of the weight. So you can see how it brings these horses down in the weights up. And a lot of these horses are good odds. A horse like Wycliffe, even Glory Days, Royal Supremacy, all these horses, Juju Kibo, down in the weights, who you can get some good value about because of the weight in these races. And one thing that I love doing is betting against high weights in high class races as well, where you get that spread. Because these horses are good horses down here as well. It's a little bit different from I find it's a little bit different from a race at, on a Monday at Wagga or wherever it may be, because the horses down in the weights, if there is a spread of weights there, the horses down in the weights probably don't have the rating still to win it. Sometimes they do, but I'm just talking in general. Whereas this race, these are, Group 1, they're all pretty talented horses. Let's get into the guts of the field and have a look. Vauban, set for a Melbourne Cup, and I was really interested. I'll get to Birdman, but Vauban, I was really interested. I'm really interested to see how Vauban goes from a Melbourne Cup perspective. Extremely disappointing last start. Just want to see the weight. Here's a real turn off for me. I put here as well 8-year-old out of form. First up run fresh was quite good. Second up run was really, really bad. I'm a big believer in forgive. You'll often hear me say, you must forgive. You must forgive these runs. But an 8-year-old's a little bit different. When they're out of form, they generally continue to stay out of form unless there's a real reason why they are going to hit form. And I can't see any reason why here for Vauban, why he's just going to suddenly turn it around and win this race. So I'm against Vauban for those reasons, even though he does have a class edge and he does have the rating to win the race. $26 I've marked him. This bullet price are my rated prices. Live price currently is $13. You might look at that and say, what a great price for Vauban. But I don't think it is a good price. I think that he'll continue to drift. Let's go down to Arapaho, who I've also got a lay. So I've got Vauban a lay. I've got Arapaho a lay. Mark 26, the same as Vauban. Current price $13. Very similar weight wise and class wise. So the class horses that are up in the weights, they're also older horses. But the thing about Arapaho, I think, is the predicted pace negative as well. That early speed, I don't think will really suit. He is getting to the right distance. Third run back, right distance, but I just think that the pace setup coupled with the weight is a big negative for me. More Felons is a horse that just isn't racing well enough for mine as well. Even though I've got him, an overlay $91, you could throw something if you're betting off prices. And I spoke about this in the Melbourne Cup last year. You could have had the winner a little bit shorter. And if you are just betting off prices, which isn't a silly thing to do at all, you could have something on More Felons because it's all about value at the end of the day. Even though 7-year-old out of form, poor last start, blah, 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 every horse in every race can win. So every horse has a price, whereas these horses are $13. You'll probably get 100 or 150 to 1 about More Felons. I'm not going to back him because it's not really how I bet. I like the factors ticked and I like the price ticked as well. So I need 2 ticks there. Let's go to Changing of the Guard, who's well in the market at $9.50. And for me, this is a real unsuitable setup. So Changing of the Guard, last start came off a 5-horse field where he led. Now he's going to a bigger field, more tempo, harder race, big negative for me. Even though he does get in fairly well at the weights 54.5, he's still giving a lot of horses 4 kilos. And over the last 200 metres, I think that'll really tell. So I've marked Changing the Guard $19. I think he will drift as well. Athabascan's another one who I don't really want to back, but appears sort of decent value to me, but is a bit of a non-winner at the Baskin and really struggles at Group 1 level, 4 from 37 starts. It wasn't great last start as well. but runs the 2400. And if you're betting off prices, you could have something on or even throw into the exotics. Let's talk about Birdman because he's equal favourite there at $6 at the moment. For me, it's this coupled with the barrier 17, Kieran McAvoy, barrier 17. Very different to last start, where settled fifth fence, got a good draw, settled fifth fence, and now's drawn 17. Faces more pace on up front, which should suit, but may not suit if gets trapped wide and has to cover more territory. So it does come up ranked 2 on that cam score. So I think for me it's just a barrier thing, and I think he's going to have to do too much. Can he win the race? Yes, I think he can win the race, but I've marked him $12 and the market's $6, so I can't be on there at all. For poor first start in Australia for Son of Sun after coming over from New Zealand, marked 126, couldn't be on, but could improve definitely off that run. Now let's get into the guts of the race with Soul of Spain, who's my top pick. I've marked $4.20. I'm not on yet. They did put up $6. I'll wait till the day of the race. And back Soul of Spain tomorrow on Saturday. Why do I like him so much? Well, I'll tell you what I love. Are horses that I know can run 2,400 meters, and it's going to be this is going to be a strong 2,400 meters because of the race tempo. So I want horses that can run strong 2,400 meters. And this horse won in Ireland last year over 3,300 meters. So we know that he can run. We know that he can run the 24 strongly. Zach Lloyd, 50.5 kilos, drops in weight off that Newcastle Cup win. The Newcastle Cup win was a slow early tempo, but they did come home in pretty good sectionals there as well. And Solar Spain, I'm going to go and have a look at the video in a minute, but Solar Spain sort of held them pretty easily to the line and was easing up. I think he had a bit more left in him. The other thing I really like about Solar Spain is this is his second prep in Australia and he keeps raising the bar. He's won 3 from 3 this prep as well. So you can't do any more than that. He looks very good value to me. So it's a combination of a few things. I think the tempo suits. I think he's got upside. He is going to he's going to harder race, but I think he can do it because of that upside. A lot of these horses are basically going to a harder race as well. But I think he's the one with the most improvement, and I know he can run 2,400 meters. Let's move on. Etna Rossa, I think, is a chance. And if you're playing exotics in this race, which I think is a good race to play exotics, even I would put Etna Rossa in as well. Drops 3 kilos last start. Sorry, drops 6 kilos last start, running third behind Birdman, but he's getting fitter. He's drawn better. Drew off last time. Now draws in barrier 2. And can sit a little bit closer. I know there's pace on, but that'll suit from barrier 2. Jay Ford can just get a nice truck in behind the pace as well, sitting midfield or a little bit worse than midfield. And he'll get Etna will get its chance over 2,400 meters. Rank 2 acceleration as well. They're down in the weight, so I think it's a good setup. $13 I've marked Etna. $10 sort of pretty well found, but definite chance there for Chris Waller. Piggy Bank marked $35. Bookies 23. Gets an awkward map from barrier 14. Harder race. On pace. Don't really like piggyback in this. I think it's just a bridge too far for the pig. Let's move on. Glory Days. Glory Days, I'm heavily against. $23, really well found in the market, marked over 100 to 1. Just struggles really at this group level. I don't like the setup at all for Glory Days as well. It's another one of those things with the race pressure, and it looks the 2,400 led last start and 14 over 2,100. Now goes to 2,400. With more pressure, and I just don't think Glory Days will be able to handle it. Royal Supremacy is another horse that I would put in the exotics if you are playing them. You can see there, ran second in the Newey Cup. Royal Supremacy hit the line pretty well. Gets in well at the weights again, 50 kilos for Kieran Ma. $12 I've marked Royal Supremacy, 10 with the bookies as well. I think can definitely run a race as well. Now we get into these horses that I think are really good value. Wycliffe at 71. You can get 81 or 91 out there, Wycliffe. I did see. Mark $26. I think he's terrific value. Ran fourth in the Newcastle Cup. Don Diego de Vega is in this cup as well. So let's just go and have a look at it. And Don Diego de Vega won the Grafton Cup prior to the Newcastle Cup and then misses the start in this Newcastle Cup. So let's go and have a look at the start here with Don Diego. So let's have a look. Don misses the kick here, so they're just getting ready. So that's the Don here in the blue cap, the grey horse, missing the kick, came out last. And they go extremely slow in this Newcastle Cup as well. And I'm going to fast forward this, but you can see these two horses that I found coming out of the Newcastle Cup being sort of being Wycliffe and the Don. Wycliffe gets home for fourth. And I'm going to fast forward and we'll just have a look at Wycliffe getting home for fourth. The winner, obviously, Solar Spain is in this race as well. Gets a pretty cushy run. Third fence. Let's fast forward and we'll see Solar Spain getting up the fence here. This is the horse that missed the start, the Don out here. And Wycliffe gets home for fourth as well and finishes. So this is Solar Spain. Look at the acceleration there and eases up on the line. This horse here that runs third, I'm going to talk about as well. Just want to rewind this here and just have a look at Travolta over the last 100 metres. You can see there that he runs third, but he doesn't hit the line that well. So he's second here, sort of drops off a little bit into third. I've just got a little bit of a query with Travolta over that extra 100 metres with that early fast tempo as well. So let's get back over to the King Zone and just have a look there with these two horses. Wycliffe, as you saw there, ran fourth. I just think he's a big over at 70, 80 to 1 with that early pace on. So they're going from slow tempo races to fast tempo races, which will suit. Don Diego de Vega, Grafton Cup winner as well. We saw him miss the start there. He's a lightly raced 6-year-old who could have some improvement with that weight drop as well. Drops hugely in weight. These horses are really coming down in the weights big time. Let's get to Flying Bandit, who we're talking about weights. Well, this horse drops 12.5 kilos, Flying Bandit. Same thing, unsuitable tempo last start, coming into a high pressure race here. 15 starts, pretty lightly raced for 6 wins as well. But for me, it's the price. The price is great. You can get $26 out there for Flying Bandit, even though coming off a low strength and going into a harder race and untried at group level. A lot of these horses are untried, but I think it's just a price thing there for me. Travolta, we talked about, only marked $10. I think this horse does definitely have ability. Barrier 1, gets a good weight drop there as well. But for me, marked a little bit longer just for that little bit of a query off the hot pace and getting a strong 2,400. Juju Kiba, I've marked $20. Not without hope, I don't think. But up in class, up in race pressure, and barrier 15. So I'm a little bit against Juju Kibo. Could I think will drift and could have marked longer. But with 50 kilos as well, that is a big plus. And I'd be very surprised if Sun and Sand was in the finish at all. So that's it for me for the Metrop. So just going through, summarising sort of what I think in this race as far as exotics go. Vauban I'd leave out. Arapaho I'd leave out. More Felons I'd leave out. Changing the Guard I'd leave out. Athabascan you could throw in if you wanted, if you're playing first fours. Birdman I'd leave out, I think is a risk from the barrier. So I would leave out because you can't put them all in. Son of Sun I'd leave out. Solar Spain obviously is my top pick. Etna Ross I'd put in for however you want to play, however you play them. If you're boxing them up, obviously put it in. If you're not, put in for second, third and fourth if you're playing first fours or trifectas. The Pig I'd leave out. Glory Days I'd leave out. Royal Supremacy I'd put in the same category as Etna Rossa for second, third and fourth. Wycliffe, I think, is a great value chance. I'd put in the whole way. Same as the Don, same as Flying Bandit. Travolta, I could definitely put in for second, third, and fourth, mark $10. Juju Kibo, maybe third and fourth, or maybe leave out altogether. So that's where it's at. I think it's a really good race to play exotics and get a good result. I think it's a really good race to stake four horses, which I don't often do. But the four, how would I bet? How would I bet them? I would bet if you're betting to win $200 with a maximum bet of 100, I would just stake the same. I'd back them all to win $200 with a maximum stake of $100. So you'd have 50 on Solar Spain. You could increase if you wanted to go to 300 and make these roughies a better result because there are very good prices and you're not outlaying a hell of a lot more. Or you could even go to 400 if you wanted to double that to give yourself a good result, as I think it's a really good race. So at 33 to 1 for the Don, you'd only be having $12 on. Flying Bandit, you'd be putting $16 on. And Wycliffe, you'd only have to put about $5 or $6 on. So it's not, while it looks like four horses, it's still not a huge outlay race. My suggestions probably would be to do that. Back Solar Spain to win 200 and these to win 400. Put a little bit through your exotics as well. Spend 20 or $30 on that. Box up in trifectas, quinellas, or first fours, or however you want to play them, and give yourself a chance of a really good result. Let's move on to the Epsom, which I think is quite a tough race and real interesting race. I want to have a look at the ratings for this race. I want to have a look at my prices for this race just early. They may change. I need to do a little bit more work on it, but this is where it's at the moment. I've got Chio Wolf $15. Once again, up in the weights. Pericles, who I was on last start, but I'm against this start. I think this is a completely different setup for Pericles, marked $15. Obviously has a very good class edge, but again, so I'm not going to go heavily into this race. I just wanted to have a look. I just wanted to have a look at I wanted to have a look at the prices early, what the computer's spitting out. And as I said, I still got to put a bit more work into this race. But at the moment, Autumn Glow, $2.80. Clearly the best ratings. We're going to go and have a look at the ratings. But barrier 14, bit more pace in this race. Barrier 14. So if you go and have a look at the Theo marks for Autumn Glow, let's just go and have a look at the Theo. And you'll see Autumn Glow coming out of barrier 2 there. Look how well she jumps. If we pause it here, she jumps. She can do what she wants here. With James on. So completely different setup, 14 horses across the track compared to what the Theo was. So Autumn Glow, if we just fast forward here, you'll see where James got. What a beautiful spot. Third, just stalking, peels, and just lets down. Look at the acceleration here for Autumn Glow. This is Pier here, getting down the middle of the track. I think Pier's a real live chance. And in this race, I said that was the same race multi, Autumn Glow to win and Pier to run a place. I think Pier's a definite chance to run a place again on Saturday in the Epsom. But look at that acceleration there. She's something special, I think, Autumn Glow. But we're going to find out on Saturday just how good she is because this is a real test. These are good horses, Pericles, Chio Wolf, Pier, Willie Do It as well. So these are the overlays for me at the moment. Pier, a mark $9, you can get 12. Willie Do It, who I think will improve, $8.50. You can get $9.50. El Costello right on the money, who I think can sit closer from barrier 1 as well. And even the old boy, he's not that old, but my old boy, because I've done a lot of money on him, Swift Falcon, $16. And this is a sort of race a horse like Swift Falcon, could come out and run a big race in with that high pressure on as well. Let's go and have a look at the ratings on my old screen here because it's such an interesting race. I'm on race 9 there. Let's flick back over to race 8 and have a look at Autumn Glow in particular ratings wise and how she stacks up. So look at this, 105, first up over 1100, 103 apart from that, 100. But have a look at these sectional ratings here if we scroll across. Now she has sat second, third, fourth, third off pretty high tempo. So I do expect her to jump well and I expect Kieran to go forward and try try and get in fourth or fifth. But she may have bad luck and get trapped here, and that's the real danger with her. If she's trapped 3 wide with no cover, it's going to be a monumental task at her first go to 1600. I do think she'll improve over distance, and this is the reason why. Look at these really good last 200s, 111, 111, 119. Last 600s, 132, 120, 117. These ratings here, you can often see horses do them, but they do them not off 95s and 94s, off fast early tempos. So they'll do them off 61s. But what you can see here, Autumn Glow did a 115 and 103 off a 61, but she also did it off a fast early tempo here. So it just shows the class, and that's what these really, really classy horses can do. They are adaptable, and they can sprint. They can sprint off fast tempos, and you don't see it very often where horses can sprint off fast tempos. But as I said, this is a step up for her in one in distance, one in race shape, where she's got to come out from barrier 14 with a different jockey, Kieran McAvoy, on, and also going to 1600 meters. I'd love to see her win. I think she will win. But I don't think the price is fantastic. So we just saw 105. Let's have a look at Pericles and match these up a bit rating wise. Look at all these starts that Pericles has had. Pericles, who, fantastic horse, but only ever got to 98, and that was a 1600 at Randwick, 98. Pericles as well did 97 first up. Carrying a lot of weight there, so that's why I'm against Pericles as well. Chio Wolf, let's see what Chio did. 104 last time. That was a really high rating race. Done 104 as well, 1500. So I'd rather be on Chio Wolf probably than Pericles even in this race, because you know that Chio Wolf, in that right setup, off that right pace, 1600 at Randwick, that he can go to that level. Pier, really interesting horse, 1600 Group 1 Guineas over in New Zealand, has a very high rating of 98 over 1600 at Eagle Farm on a good track. First up, ran pretty well behind Autumn Glow, running third. Gets more pace on here, gets a better setup, gets to 1600 meters. Has to do a lot more, I know, to get past Autumn Glow, but price-wise, and this game is all about value, price-wise, we've got one horse at $2.10 and another horse, Pier, at $12. So there's a big price difference. You'd probably place price for Pier's probably around, I don't know, around $3 or something like that. So I think Pier's a good bet to run a place. I think there. Let's have a look at Willie Do It, who I found, but I haven't found off ratings. I've found off potential. So ratings wise, has got a lot to improve, but I think Willie Do It really can improve off that rating and jump up. I think there's a lot of upside to Willie Do It as well. And then it falls away a little bit after that. So that's, if you're just talking about ratings, you can see that Autumn Glow and Chio Wolf are by far the best two rated horses. Autumn's Glow's got more upside, obviously, and that's why she's shorter in the market. And also weight-wise, 54 for Autumn Glow, and you've got Chio Wolf carrying 58. It's going to be a fantastic race. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. I can't wait for it. Can't wait for Grand Final on Sunday. Go my Broncos as well. So make sure you beat your bookie on Saturday. Saturday for me is about a real grinding day. It's a real test, and I love these days where there's not a huge amount of max bets. I do like that Metropolitan, but on the Metros, I haven't got the country and provincials through yet. Often we'll find some max bets there. I wish I had them, because I'd love to go and find a country and provincial max bet, but the markets aren't up yet, so I can't go and do that. But they will be on the King Zone on Saturday morning at 10:30. So make sure you grind out a profit on Saturday. Keep your head, because these group races, you can get ahead of yourself sometime and get very excited. Keep that staking in check. It is so important that we get through to Melbourne Cup Carnival week with a decent bank, so we can attack that week and attack the Cup as well, and really hone in on it when the edge is there. Stay in the game, stay in the zone, make sure you win on Saturday, and I'll see you on Monday for the grind.
Think, is this a bet you really want to place? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.